And moving on to the other top focus in this bulletin, the strike by FTII students against the appointment of Gajendra Chauhan as chairman has entered its second month. I'm joined by consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai. It's over to him.
Thanks very much there, Vedika. Yes, that's right. FTII students have been agitating against Gajendra Chauhan, whom they claim is not fit enough to lead the country's premier film-making institute. And with every passing day, one or the other film celebrity is coming out in support of the student strike that has now entered its second month. The big question, how will this row now be resolved? Joining me now are two very special guests. I'm joined by Shyam Benegal, one of the country's topmost directors and filmmakers and someone who has been a chairperson at the FTII, and Kiran Rao, director and editor, also joins me. Appreciate both of you joining us. Mr. Benegal, the big issue now as we enter the second month of a strike is how do we resolve it? Both sides seem to be taking polarized positions. Do you see a solution which could ensure that the dignity of the FTII and the government and the individuals concerned is maintained?
Well, it's very simple. My solution has always been that it's best to talk, which means that the students should meet the chairman designate, and I don't think that's particularly difficult if he is willing to meet them. Because if he's not willing to meet them, then the problem is never going to be solved because they're never going to accept him ever. The important thing is to have a meeting, the general body of the students, have a meeting with him, put forward their apprehensions, their fears, which they obviously have because they feel he's doesn't have the competence or the credentials to be the chairman. Now, if that be so, one does know that he has experience as an actor, but beyond that, I don't know whether he has any experience in terms of being head of any kind of institution or any administrative experience whatsoever. It depends. Now, I don't know. I can't claim anything. I don't know the gentleman. But the important thing, I think, for the students...
But do you believe he should...
to call a halt to all this.
Do you believe he should therefore offer to step down, or should we, as Gajendra Chauhan is claiming, I should be given a chance? Do you believe he should step down, consider, offer to resign, or say, as he does now, give me a chance and the student should allow him, let's say, 6 months to function?
Well, two things. One is I cannot speak for Mr. Chauhan because I don't know what his views are. He doesn't want to leave. Now, if he doesn't want to leave, I think at least the students must assess the person. They should have a meeting, and that meeting alone will convince them one way or another whether he is the kind of person they would like as a chairman. It's as simple as that. And I don't see why they should be taken to the kind of, no turn back situation where it's just not going to be solved one way or another, and then the government will take some drastic step which will be totally unsuitable to solve the problem.
That's interesting.
So I personally think that
it's interesting. You're calling essentially calling for a dialogue to begin between the students and Gajendra Chauhan. But Kiran Rao, there's a sense that some of the students are not even willing for this, that everyone has taken polarized positions that Gajendra Chauhan must first resign. Can students be allowed to dictate who should be the chairperson of FTII?
Well, I don't believe that...
Let me get Kiran to speak, sir. I'll come back to you, Mr. Benegal. I'll just get Kiran and then come back to you. Yes, Kiran, go ahead.
So I'm of the opinion that students need to feel secure, need to feel inspired by their director, by the person who's leading the institute. And being a premier institute that it is, being one of the only film institutes in this country of any standing, I think it's important that students feel that the person leading them has the right qualifications, the right competence, the right intentions when taking charge of an institution. So I do believe that it's not Mr. Chauhan's fault in any way, but I do think the finger should point at the government for having made this kind of choice. I think it really reflects on the government, and that the government should put someone in this place who doesn't necessarily have the qualifications.
But the flip side, Kiran, is, and one of our reporters in Pune has seen this, that many students also have not completed their degrees even though they've been there with the institute for 6 or 8 years. There are questions over infrastructure. There are questions over teaching standards. Should this also be the focus? Will the students also have to introspect? Will the institute have to introspect as to what has happened over the last 20 years? We keep saying premier institute, but many believe that it has fallen in standards.
Certainly, I think a lot of introspection is required, and possibly a huge amount of overhaul needs to happen within the institute itself. The question is Mr. Chauhan the person to do it? And if the students themselves do not feel confident of him having their best interests in mind, not necessarily that the students should just be able to do whatever they like, but academically, in a creative sense, it is an artistic field. Someone who looks at that at the same time as looks at it with an administrative and logistical point of view would be a better person. A better person would probably be equipped to do that.
You know, that brings me to the point as to who should be the right person to lift FTII to a new level, Mr. Benigal, because let's look at the previous chairpersons that the FTII has had. Many of them are people of great dignity. There's been yourself, of great stature. R.K. Lakshman, interestingly, the former cartoonist, also was a chairperson. Mrinal Sen, Adur Gopal Krishnan, U.R. Anantamurthy, Mahesh Bhatt, Girish Karnad, Saeed Mirza, Vinod Khanna. Now, most of them have a very distinguished career in cinema or in the creative arts. Is that an essential prerequisite, you believe, to be chairperson of FTII, or is being a good administrator the most important thing?
Well, let me start off by saying I think Kiran is misunderstood or is in a bit of confusion about the roles that the chairman and the director of the institution play. Because the chairman, in fact, has very little to do with the institution in terms of his presence there. Because the chairman is there, he has to preside over about 6 to 8 meetings. 2 of them happen to be for the society itself that runs the institution. On behalf, the government nominates him to be a chairman to do that. So he presides over the society. He presides over the governing council that governs the institution, and also he will preside over the academic council. Now, the academic council has to do with every day, with the syllabus, with the curricular practice, and so on and so forth. Now, there is no confusion of the roles here. The director is directly in charge of the institute. He is an interface with the students 365 days of the year. In effect, he is the person who administers, who runs the institution. He will also, tell the government and the chairman and the governing council and the society exactly what is right or wrong with the institution and the requirements of the institution. Now, his role is very clearly defined. The chairman's role is also clearly defined because the chairman is concerned with policy, the chairman is concerned with overall structure, the chairman is concerned with the financing, the manner in which the finance is going to be used.
So should the chairman be a man of stature?
Et
should the chairman be a man of stature from the world of creative arts and cinema, or should he be a good administrator?
No, hold on. I don't wish to make value judgments on anybody because I don't know the gentleman concerned. I hate to pass judgment on people I do not know and do not know what they have done and what they have not done. So please, you have to leave me out of that kind of thing because it would be an unnecessary judgmental thing to do about a person one doesn't know. You see, if it's a question of saying that the government has chosen the wrong kind of person, then you look at the wrong kind of person, you meet him, you discuss with him. You see, it's nothing to do with whether people have credentials. You have to worry about their capability. Credentials you can have, need not have. It's like carrying certificates. You can be half a dozen, you can have half a dozen PhDs, and yet you may be totally incapable. So the question is not that at all. The question is very simply, if they think that the person is not competent enough, if the students feel that, then they should call for a meeting with him and judge for themselves, because they can ask any question they want.
Can I take that?
It's very simple.
Can I take that
Have
to
an
Kiran Rao?
interface.
Have an interface, but the difference you're making between credentials and capability. Kiran Rao, do you believe that too much of focus at the moment has been on credentials? Has Gajendra Chauhan really done any good cinema? Has he been someone who has done second level films? Has he done the odd television appearance here and there? Hasn't done that kind of body of work? Should that be the focus? Or is he capable, as I said, of turning around FTII?
I think Mr. Benegal's point is a good one. One should look at capability rather than credentials, and certainly possibly the focus has been on Mr. Chauhan's credentials. But I think, I don't know whether Mr. Chauhan has ever been asked what his plan specifically for FTII would be. What would he do now in this position? So in terms of his capability, I suppose if he could lay out his own understanding of what he could do to actually make the the institute relevant again, or correct its many failings at this point, it would probably be useful. Having said that, I don't know what his capability is in the sense he may not have the credentials. But
are you saying that you don't agree? Are you saying, Kiran, you don't agree with the Rishi Kapoors of the world? Are you saying you don't agree then with the Rishi Kapoors of the world who are saying he must quit because he simply doesn't have the credentials?
Well, to be honest, it would be nice if there was a person there that you were very confident could do whatever it is this job requires, which is possibly a logistical job, as Mr. Benegal said, or possibly creative. I'm not exactly sure what the purview of his job is, but I do think that there are better people for this job. I'm not sure he's the best possible person.
That's precisely it, Mr. Benegal. I know you said you didn't want to pass a value judgment on Mr. Chauhan, and fair enough, because you don't know him. But the fact is that when you look at look at the others who could possibly have been offered, because now an RTI seems to suggest that the government didn't make any formal offer to any other leading film personality. Couldn't we have done better is the question that will be asked. Here is someone who is basically had a very limited film career in the truest sense of the term. Shouldn't you be looking, as I come back to it, for people who perhaps have a wider film experience? Should we be looking for the best and the brightest rather than someone who's affiliated to a political party or an ideology?
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying, except that I don't know whether, you see, now we are talking about the choices made by the ministry, whether the ministry had other choices in front of them or not. This I don't know, I cannot judge. But the fact is, yes, the ministry has probably not, cast their net wide enough. Because there are people, I mean, this country is not starved of people who are capable. So, and also we have the largest film industry in this country, and there are a whole lot of people with a great deal of experience. So the question that needs to be asked now is, I mean, this is not for the students to ask, this is for somebody like me to ask.
Right.
Couldn't the government have chosen someone who, they themselves would be totally confident in that position, in that position. Now, which they have had in the past. But I've always believed that the institute really requires a very good director. The chairman is really person who presides. Whether he makes any kind of contribution or not is not of such so much consequence, because ultimately it's the director, who's the person who's on the job, on the premises of the institution, that makes the biggest difference.
I'm going to ask you therefore both in conclusion, and you, Kiran Rao, first. If you had to choose someone, who would that be? If you had an ideal choice in your mind for chairman of FTI, remember the person also has to have the time, which many of the biggest stars or biggest directors do not have. But if you had to choose someone, Kiran Rao, who you'd sort of get up and say, wow, that's the kind of person I want to see as chairman of FTI, do you have a name in mind?
That's a tough one because, as you said, it does require time. Raju Hirani is on the board, and I think he would make an excellent chairperson because, as Mr. Benegal said, the chairperson actually just presides, possibly has X number of meetings to run in a year. My choice would go with someone who is both technically and professionally qualified and has excelled in his field of work to do a job like that, and I think Raju is the person.
And he also, of course, is an FTI alumni. So that's one good name that you've given us. Raju Hirani as a potential replacement for Gajendra Chauhan. Do you have someone in mind, Shyam Benegal, if you had to choose someone?
I hate to throw names about like that, because there are several people. I could think of a number of them, but I don't think I'm going to name a person. But they're very capable people.
Give me those number of people. Give me those number of people.
We have quite a number of people. They don't necessarily have to be people who passed out of the Film Institute.
Sure.
Because, Raju Hirani is passed out of the institute. There are several others who were chairman of the institution who passed out of the institute. But there are people outside of that as well. That's why I said I don't really wish to give names. But there are very eminent people outside. You can choose them because unless, of course, they are unwilling to serve as chairpersons.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, it's sad that that the institute finds itself now in a tug of war virtually between the government on one side and the students on the other. And as I think has been said on this program, the time has come for a dialogue, some kind of an interface so that the two sides at least start understanding each other and their concerns and then evolve some kind of a way forward. Shyam Benegal, Kiran Rao, appreciate your joining us. Thank you very much for taking out the time and speaking to us.
Thank you.